Well guys, welcome back here at Buffelshoek Waterhole. It's pretty quiet. We're actually trying to have a look at these hornbills, and I see they've just come out again. Just off to the side here. Some red-billed hornbills, a family and some youngsters all looking around and scratching around for food. Constant bit of noise as well, with them communicating with each other and making sure they all know where each other are, but like most hornbills, just eating pretty much whatever they can find. They'll eat berries and fruits and insects and all kinds of bits and pieces. Well, as yet, no more big animals around the waterhole here. Just the hippo, nice and lazy back there. We're going to sit here for a little bit. Maybe something arrives. I just heard up to the north, sort of on the other side of the water, I heard some oxpeckers calling, so that might be indicative of something bigger on its way. So we'll just hang around a little bit. In the meantime, there are some questions. Hayley's going to send some of them through just now. Just one of the things that sort of has been a general question popping up here and there over the last few days apparently is that while I was away, you guys on drive with Rex and Alex and Hayley, you saw the judge, that buffalo bull, which I haven't seen for quite a while. So I'm very happy to hear that he's well and live. And apparently there was just some confusion from some of our guests or some of our viewers whether it was the judge or not. It definitely was. And it's good to know that he's around and still kicking. He's a big bull. For those of you that don't know who we're talking about, a big bull buffalo. He must, in physical weight, he probably weighs 800-900 kilograms. Noisy hornbills. And the easy way to recognize him is that he looks very stern and very serious. Also that his horns are broken off. So buffalo normally have these big bosses that curve down into the horns, and those curves are broken, and he's just got the big bosses sort of sitting like a little helmet on his head. Now just regarding horns and how that works is buffalo horns do grow, in a way you can say it grows throughout their life, because the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years even, especially with the bulls, those horns are getting longer and bigger and thicker. The bosses are getting heavier as well, but once they've broken off like that, the horns aren't going to grow back. So it's a case of, yes, the horns grow and they get thicker and so on as the buffalo get older, but if the actual horn itself is broken off short like that, there'll be a little bit of horn growth going on the bosses. The door's just opening by itself, but it's not going to grow back into fully curved horns. But definitely the judge, I look forward to seeing him as well, maybe in the next few days. Any other questions?
Come through from Leila and Beryl, basically just just saying how many kilometers is it from the Gary Waterhole to the farthest place you can go on the Juma website drives and watch it. And then from Beryl basically asking, once we move to Dixie, will our traversing area change?
Cool, just a couple of sort of area questions if you want. At the moment the area we drive on is just under 1,000 hectares, which is my head's a bit slow this morning, I'm half asleep. In acres, that's about 2,500 to 2,800 acres or something like that. And in a straight line, I would say from Gary Waterhole is sort of to the northwestern center, if you want. So the furthest point would be southeast, sorry. I would guess probably about 2 kilometers, 1.5, 2 kilometers or so. Obviously roads-wise, I don't know how many kilometers of roads we've got, but many miles. We've got a lot of roads that crisscross and go through this area. And then, so if I remember correctly, missed some of the names there. Dawn, those are asking, once we move out, change our camp. Now there's a whole lot of things around it, I'm not going to go into it too much, but we're just going to change a little bit where we live. In terms of where we operate and how we work, it's going to be exactly the same, and maybe you can see a little bit more, but we'll always be a Juma. This is where the wildlife is happening. Hayley?
Lynn would like you to explain a little bit more about the Inyala bull, ram, ewe. I would like to know, is it a bull and an ewe for Nyala and anything smaller, a ram and an ewe?
Cool, Lynn, it's like I said, it's something that it's not actually so much a wildlife or scientific description as it is more an English language thing, and as I've picked it up along the way and spoken to people that know quite a lot about how this works, is the distinction is made relative to size. So it's not really, I mean, you could say male or female, which is what we do most of the time, but basically bull and cow goes to your larger animals, larger antelope in this case, and then ewe and ram for smaller antelope. Now with Nyala, you've got a very big difference between male and female, both in coloration, but also in size. So the sexual size dimorphism, as you call it, is quite prevalent in Nyala, meaning that the bulls are much larger, much taller than the females. So the way I understand it is from a purely language point of view. Like I said, there's no scientific reasoning behind it, is that with Nyala actually, it would be a little bit confusing because it would be a Nyala bull, and anything as big as a Nyala bull or larger would be bull and cow, but it would be a Nyala ewe, and anything her size or smaller would be a ram or ewe. So it's actually sort of a split within the species where you've got the female and everything smaller being ram and ewe, and the male being bull and cow, anything bigger. So I hope that answers your question. Like I said, it's something that I've just found a little bit intriguing or interesting, just a little trivial thing about describing more interesting or aspects of antelope out here. Hayley?
Question from Dawn. What is the normal lambing calving time for the rest of the antelope, like wildebeest, kudu and nyala? Only seem to really see impala babies around.
Yeah, Dawn, that's a good point. We've mentioned that one or two times or a couple of times along the drives, is that your impala tend to have the young ones quite early in summer. I guess that's just got to do with if it's a very good year, they can make the most of it, and also maybe just, I don't know, by just getting such large numbers in there, keeping the youngsters safe. But sorry, I'm trailing off. The point is, during your question, the calving time or the lambing time for other antelopes and so on, that is typically also in summer, but normally a bit later than with your impala. And we should already be seeing a couple of them around, kudu and wildebeest, Nyala youngsters, normally sort of summer towards the end of summer, here by March, April, we should be seeing a lot more of them. And waterbuck as well. Those of you that have been with us for a while, you remember last year, April, May, sort of autumn really, lots of young waterbuck around. So it can vary slightly. Also keep in mind, Dawn, that we see a lot of impala, and typically see a lot of youngsters because there's maybe 50 or 60 of them together. A lot of your other antelope, kudu for instance, when those little ones are very young, you don't see them that easily, just because they like thick bush, and there's maybe only 3 or 4 of them around. In that kudu cow we saw this morning earlier, it's not impossible that she maybe had a youngster, but we just didn't see it. So we should start seeing other young antelope quite soon, especially the larger antelope as well. Anywhere in the next couple of months. Anything else? We continue on a bit.
We're going to give you 2 at the same time. One from Peter regarding sable. Would like to know if you see any sable antelope around the area. And then Pat would like to know what is the breeding age for elephants.
Cool, Peter. In terms of us seeing sable in this area, yes, we can. I've seen sable at Djuma. Typically not this far to the west. If you go a little bit further to the east, more towards where Djuma Bush Lodge is, it gets a little bit more open, and you get sable coming through there occasionally. So I have seen sable at Djuma. It was, I think, 2003 or so, during the last while that I worked here. We saw them a few times, but it's not a typical antelope for here. Also, sable like slightly more open grassland type areas. They're quite specific to the sort of kind of grasses they like. But it's not impossible. Stick around long enough, and you will eventually see them with us on wild.